But then you don't have a way to get up on the mountain.
I'm gonna get fucked.
Rockstar in this life, gonna live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. Baby, I'm bad. Baby, I'm bad.
I just wanna stay bad, stay mad. Chip on my shoulder cause they treat me like an outcast. I ain't gonna take that, stay back. I'll be swinging hard till the hits come in all caps.
I'm not gonna hit on
I ain't
bed
gonna lay back, pray that someone's gonna help me. Ain't nobody like that. I ain't gonna wait, that's all fact. Give me one shot and I'll never get the throne back. I'm sick of being cautious. I'ma go cause something, can't stop this. I'ma steal everybody's lane, call it shoplift. Sick of hearing everyone complain when they thoughtless. Taste the pain, it's like candy canes. It makes me go change into a better frame, into a better name. Society's insane, we all live for fame. Yeah. Cash in the bag, stadium packed. One rockstar, life gon' live it up on the attack. Baby, I'm bad. I just wanna get caught up in this life. I'm crazy, I'm mad. Doing no cap. Only got one, so you better go live it up. Cash in the bag.
I think I've got like 3 bullets left.
Baby, I'm bad. Baby, I'm
Someone
bad.
put your hand in the back.
Go. Just come on.
Ladies and gentlemen, in this video, number 2, take 2, we're gonna look at one of my favorites again, the WE P99, or God of War. So there's a few different variations of the real steel, but We-Tech chose to do, in my opinion, the sexiest iteration, which is the OG Gen 1. In saying that, there was multiple revisions of the Gen 1. So basically every single run they did, factory was making improvements and upgrades on the go. So these are more like a Gen 1.2 or Gen 1.3. I think the original design had slightly shorter mag release, and it was only on one side, and there's a bunch of different revisions made. So now that I have learned every single square nanometer of this device, I have to say they're basically just a souped up G19. That feels awesome and doesn't feel like a Lego man gun like a Glock does. So yeah, basically you've got a G19 length barrel, the exact same length that's in the G19X, but you've got a bigger nozzle, a very chunky boy nozzle. On top of that, you've also got a much more reliable hammer system, so we'll get into that when we rip him apart. Yeah, so we'll pull him apart and I'll go over what I do and do not like about the P99 as a system. So I'm very much a fan of these now that I've gotten to know them a little bit better. But there is one thing that we need to fix, which we'll get into when we pull them apart. So, holster aside, let's get into it. So, we shall give him a chrono and then pull him apart and get into the nitty gritty. And I'll show you guys what finally won me over with these little bad boys. So, we need some gels. We need a chronometron, and he can sit on my can of Pepsi so I don't shoot him like I did with the Deagles. Okay, gels. Alright. Yeah, bro. I dropped a gun on top of it. Okay, so this is what finally won me over. If you can see, if it's gonna focus. I need to click the mouse, hold on. Oh my god. Magic. There you go. So, now we can focus again. So, with any of the smaller Glocks, you have a very, very difficult time getting them sort of over that 320, 330 mark. This is completely stock, bar one thing. Completely stock, bar one thing, which is a 9-ball high flow valve. So, with the stock mag and a basic tune, it's going to be doing 320, 330. You're not getting that much, so this is where I am a little bit hesitant to recommend the high flow valves. You are losing efficiency, so you're realistically only getting 10 or so full power shots out of that, as opposed to 20 or so out of the stock valve. You do get significantly more with that stock valve, which absolutely validates that this is a brilliantly, almost perfectly designed, engineered system. I am gonna do a little bit more testing, as in run it a little bit more, but I am at this point leaning towards going with the stock output valves, just for myself personally. So these toy force multipliers are a universal output valve recipient from We-Tech. So most of their newer models, bar a couple that are very, very oddly designed, use We-Tech's, that's just not even going to focus, they use We-Tech's universal magazine output valve. And basically it's the same size as a standard TM spec G series, so it'll take your Garter or 9-ball high flow valves. So let's pull this little guy apart. This beautiful little guy. Where's my thingy? Okay. Now there is, I was bringing up my list. I've got a little list. There's one thing that you do need to be careful for with the full strip down, but apart from that, they've said they've got a little bit more working parts in the front end for the safety mechanism. But apart from that, they're a super duper simple teardown, and I really, really like the hammer set. So let's do it. We'll do the slide first because that's the easiest. You can chill. And magazines, they're cool. So the slide also contains the one thing. I'll tell you why I'm extra happy with that FPS, even though anyone who watches the channel knows that I'm normally happy to actually sacrifice a little bit of recoil power just to have that higher FPS with our gas devices, which I've also done with the M4, which you guys will see. So that FPS, okay, so stock barrel, stock chamber, stock nozzle. Okay, the screwdriver, pokey tool, possibly some tweezers. So the one tricky bit is in the lower, which we'll get to. So I very, very much appreciate simple, pointless engineering. Efficient, pointless engineering. They didn't have to give it a functional decocker, loaded chamber indicator. That's 1, 2, ooh. So you do kind of want to take this guy. So your decocking mechanism on this side actually sits on top of the BBU. There we go, and everything flew off anyway. That's our sights. So the way all this works is our whole BBU mechanism with nozzle will slide up. Actually, I can semi-show you sideways. It slides up into it, and then our sight goes in, and this little guy pushes up and holds the sight in, and I just dropped him. Okay, so I'm going to put him back where he came from, just so I can show you guys the actual proper takedown of the BBU. So that is your decocker, and all that does is push on here on the BBU. When you push it down, it half decocks it and doesn't release the valve knocker. So in actual function, when you use that decocker, you're not fully decocking the gun, and it's still leaving the hammer under half tension, which is no. So it is cool and a realistic function, and it works, but do not just decock it and leave it. Pull the trigger and actually fully reset your hammer. Just a pro tip. Okay, so that's our slide, empty. Our shell puller thing. Extractor. Okay, so I'm going to show you guys. Obviously, we've got a BBU spring in here. He can come out. That's very shiny. There is a little... I'm going to put my finger over the back end. Okay, I'm going to show you guys why. Okay, so there is a little push pin thing, whoa, that sits in the top of your BBU, and it'll only go in one way, so you can't really fuck it up. Just make sure not to lose him. Okay, now our nozzle can come out. Bloop. You can chill. So your back end, your booty of the slide, this is how your loaded chamber indicator works. It's a really simple little mechanism, and it's one of the things that I looked at taking it apart that sort of made me fall in love with these things. Just really simple engineering. They didn't have to do it. I don't think any of the other... So this is the nicest P99 model you can get in terms of blasters and airsoft, but I don't think the Umarex model... Correct me if I'm wrong. I am an idiot. But I don't think the others have a working loaded chamber indicator. So the way he works is super duper simple. I'm going to show you guys right now. So let's just remember that there is a spring on the front of this guy. So not going to focus, piece of shit. So it is at all times sitting behind your back plate with tension against it. So just default, it's pushed back. When your hammer is cocked back, so now I don't need the back plate, your hammer has a special little notch. I'll try and do this with my other hand. Ooh, you see that sexy little notch there? That's how the sexiness works. So this in function, I can't even hold this, sits like yay above the hammer, and when the hammer goes back, he pushes him forward with that sexy little notch. Push it real good. Yep. So that is how your loaded chamber indicator works, and it is off a little lever mech like that, so it can have the hammer slide underneath it as well, so the hammer can slide back. So it can be racked, and then when the hammer's cocked and it goes, the slide goes forward, this hits the notch on the hammer and gets pushed down. You guys can't see that. It's very sensual. So we'll put him to the side. Alright, now we're going to get to the BBU itself. This is my one gripe. We-Tech, come on. Boys, Right, what are we doing? So this device is designed to work with CO2 Max, which is why this part exists. But fuck you, cunts. I don't like it. I don't like CO2. I live in Australia. It is very hot here all the time. It is so hot right now, very specifically. The past couple days have just been fucked. It is like... I don't know how to explain in like freedom unit temperatures how hot this country is. It's just really, really... You can cook eggs on the fucking road. So we don't need CO2. We don't do that here. My one gripe with this entire system is the cup piston. So, cup pistons are specifically designed for higher powered devices, of which this is when you're using CO2 mags. On green gas mags, you do not need a cup piston. It's just really, really annoying. You need an O-ring type. So I am currently having an O-ring piston and piston headset designed for the P99, which will fix my one issue. So this is where I'm happier with that 340. If you add a proper O-ring type system and 100% sealing, we'll probably see another 10-20 FPS added on top of that. So 320, 330, that is good enough for most things. That's sort of where I go, nah, it's not for me. 340, 350, that's where I sort of flip the switch and go, all right, this thing looks sexy as fuck, and I can actually get decent FPS out of it. Yeah. Okay, so I think this can all sit up here. I'm going to put the nozzle back in there just so I don't lose it. And we'll get on to the lower. So very, very Glock/M90 for our hammer. M9 Glock/M9 for our hammer system. In my opinion, it really is just an updated, more efficient G-series hammer set in terms of function, overall function. So let's get into it. I need a handy dandy screwdriver before we do anything. So, same as Glock, always screw out first. You are going to damage the frame. So when you tighten that down, it puts tension on the pin. Trying to smash that pin out first. No. We don't do that here. Camera. Very Glockish. So I think we will do the hammer set last, because I want to show you the one tricky bit with this. So you need a 0.9 bit for this, or a really, really tiny Allen key. So to get this frame out, there is a teeny, please don't go smash that pin like I did. You can fix it, but it's a bitch. Do not smash this pin out. There is a teeny tiny Allen key / 0.9 size bit here, and you don't even need to unscrew it fully. So all this does is tightens into a notch in the pin in that safety. So it's just a little bit fiddly. All you have to do is loosen him out, and your pin will just push out like so. Super duper easy. Whoop. Now there's a spring, your actual retainer there in the safety that locks it in. Slide stop, whatever the fuck we call it, the middle piece that in a G series. So in this, it's just a little teeny tiny circular piece, but it's spring loaded, so when you pull this pin out, he may want to go for a little fly. They do like doing that. So I'm going to, okay, it's not going to fly off. I'm going to focus, try and focus on that so you can actually see it. Oh man, my hands are so white. So do you see that notch on the end? That's what that lug locks into. And if you smash it through, you will destroy that little, nice little beveled whatever piece. I don't know the terminology, I just know the thing. Come on, focus. There we go. Okay. I've lost my list of things to tell you about. So that's our lower. So I believe he can slide out. No, we have to take this out. So there is a little springy boy and a pin thing in there. Nope, this is why I needed the tweezers. Come on. Whoop. So this little pin and spring guy is our P99 equivalent for the slide stop part in a G-series device. Okay, now we've got 2 pins in there, which should come out nicely. Come on. There we go. This one's a little bit tighter. So the beauty of the P99 pins is they're all hollow, which means you can ram a screwdriver bit. You can put them down on a on your desk and ram them and spread them out, flare them out. So it makes them a lot tighter in the frame, which very, very awesome in my opinion. Okay, I don't know if I went left to right or right to left on this for the threading. So standard middle pin for the frame. I think I went right to left. We shall see. And it didn't have threading on it. Okay. Alright, that should come out all hunky-dory, I believe. Whoa. What am I forgetting here, lads? It should... Ah, gotcha. Sorry. So we have to push this, tighten this little lug back in to be able to get this guy off. I'm sorry, I'm an idiot. Yep, he has to... There we go. So, that's our little lug on the side, if you can see it on my ultra white hands. So you have to tighten that back in after you pull the pin through, because you have to semi-angle it that way to get him out. Alright, now our center frame should just hippity-hoppity poppity out. For a little liberal force. No? There we go. See if we can get him out in one piece. I totally cannot, and I failed. So I sort of do this one the same. I do the insert the same as the G19X with that ambi safety. I do everything in one go. With a normal G series with the thing on one side, it's easy to just slide it in after you actually put your frame in. With these, it's sort of easier to slot it in one go. Very fiddly to try and get it in afterwards. Okay, so that is... Well, I haven't shown you the other thing. So, unlike an M9 and a G series, your magazines on the P99. Now, this is something I've only run into since trying that high flow valve, and I had to account for the little bit of extra force. So this is your safety mechanism. The way it works is front on. I can't think of any other guns off the top of my head that do the same. I'm assuming there's a fuck ton. Tell me in the comments. But it only locks on... It's only got force on one side, locking the magazine in. And you can't even see that. I've got my little list in front of me, so I can't really see the screen. So it locks in one side. To account for the higher tension, that spring is the tension pushing this whole piece in. It is off a circular point, so the tension's like spread to both sides, but that spring is what gives you that tension, so I kind of had to stretch him out to give it a bit more tension. So that is our frame, our magazine release thing, and trigger system, which I'll take out anyway. Come on. Which locks in with a pin. I don't know if I'm a fan of the copper pins. They always get wear and tear over time. Okay, so that is... Oh, that's a stock map. I don't know why I have that. That's your entire slide and lower, and now we can get onto the hammer set. I'm going to move my thing just because I can't even see what's actually going on camera. Okay. Alright. This beautiful, sexy hammer set. Let's do it. Scalpel. Check. So take this little springy boy out. Now he should just... There we go. So that's our decocker. Half cocker, half decocker, fake cocker. Now this is our valve knocker lock release, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Everyone calls it different shit. I call it the thing. So the spring in there is a little bit tight to get out. Just try not to stretch him, and you can, there we go, wedge him out, like so. And your valve knocker lock release should just fall out, like so. Also try and remember which spring came with which piece, because, yeah. Now I do actually need... We have a slightly bigger bit, which I need. This little guy for. So this is how your decocker actually works, but the bottom part of it blocks the this guy, stops him from working. So I don't like the decocker. It's not, even though it does functionally work, it is still leaving your hammer under tension, which is naughty. So he should just fall out. Come on. Come on, little guy. Whoop. Okay, now we got 2 screws. Nope. The hammer frame screws are not hard to miss. They're very identifiable. Come on. Come on, little guy. There we go. Alright, you ready for it? This is the P99 God of War PX001, whatever the fuck it is, hammer set. And I love it. It is so simple. Your hammer goes back, is locked. That's your sear. It's on the back and just held in with a spring. So guess what? You can just adjust that sear by, everything's perfect. Now, because of how it works, it is a little bit of a bitch to put the hammer back in after you do it. But that's a good thing because of the amount of tension that it holds on the hammer itself. So let's do it. First, I'm going to take off my little wheelie boy. First, we're going to take our valve knocker out, or our valve knocker spring. Come on. He'll come out. Take this little guy out. So that's our seal. Well, and his spring. Okay. Now, this little bitch. This is the tricky part with the hammer. The good and bad part. You'll watch me fuck, because this is oily as fuck. You're gonna watch me struggle getting that back on. So that is our hammer frame. There's a super simplified, slightly rearranged G-series hammer set with a very M9-ish valve knocker that works exceptionally well. That is a fully disassembled P99. Now let's put this little guy back together. I could just say, oh yeah, just watch the video in reverse. But we're going to do it, because I'm going to show you the fiddly bits with getting everything back together. Oh, I'm going to need that bit. Alright. So, you want to make sure you get your spring in the right way, and if you want a little bit more tension, I'm going to regret doing this, because they already have a fuck ton of tension, and it's hard enough getting it back in. So if you do start to lose tension after a while, you absolutely can. If we have a look at our hammer spring, you absolutely can crimp those in a little bit, bend them in for a little bit of extra tension. But specifically with these guys, they really don't need it, and you're gonna probably regret doing it. Just trying to get it back into the frame. Now the fun bit begins. So getting this back in is a little bit of a bitch. I'm going to show you. So we want to get that on there first and just have that bit of the spring sitting on there. Now we want to use our handy dandy pokey boy tool. God damn it. This is a lot easier when everything isn't oiled up. So you want to... God damn it. So... Come on, buddy. Nope. Okay. I think we've got him. Yep. Can you even see what I'm doing? No, you cannot. All I'm doing is wedging him, holding the spring over the edge where it clips onto and angling the hammer backwards so I can get it into the frame and on its little post. Once we get that post, we are sweet. Like that! Yes! Yes! Very, very efficient little system. Little teeny tad. Teeny tiny bit annoying to get the hammer on. Just the hammer. Everything else, easy peasy. Whew, man, it's hot. Okay, so next our seal is going to go back in, but we're going to put our spring on there first. Sit on there, boy. It's probably going to flick off on me, just because I said it was easy. So that's how our seal works. Well, easy peasy. And a valve thing. Depressor knocker. So it'll, again, this will only go in one way. Pull your hat. Oh, nope. See, I just knocked our seal. So I'm going to take the sear out because we're putting our valve knocker in first. Don't be a Danny, or do be a Danny and learn from Danny's mistakes. So hammer in first, then valve knocker. So valve knocker in, just pull the hammer back a little bit, and then valve knocker spring. Which will just sit in his little hole, this little groove, and we can bend the spring over to where it needs to be. No. Like so. Now we can put our sear in. That'll be a bit easier. Some more fucking around. Woo! No? There we go. So that's our hammer frame. All our bits just chilling. Probably put this guy on before you screw your frame on, because you can't get that wheel on once the frame is screwed together. Should just clip in like so. Right. Now we can put our frame back together. Also, my list has run out. The last thing on it says to show you the lower, the pin on the lower, and not to just try and punch that out like a monkey like me. Okay, now our decocker second part thingy. So valve locker release in first. I can't even get him in. There you go, little buddy. There you go. Pfft. Other way. Okay. Nope. So you did see how annoying it was to get this guy in the first place. It is similarly annoying. Well, sorry, to get it out. Similarly annoying to get it back in. It's just a tight little fit. Ooh. Does not like going in. Can a little bit. There we go. Alright, now our decocking mechanism. Actually. Oop, straight in. Alright, and that's our hammer system. So hammer set done. Now we can put our lower back together. You know what? I am, while we've got him, give this guy a little stretch out. Oh, you can't even, I'm off screen, sorry. So, this is easier to just sort of sit on your finger and finger up the bottom of the mag well till he sits over where you want. And then, boom. Push him into place. And push our little pin in. So now that should lock a mag. And we can reassemble our lower frame. So we can go on. Go on. Nope, nope, nope. Come on, buddy. There we go. Okay, so we want our slide lock and slide lock spring. To sit in there as we fit it into the frame. If this is going to work. I'm an idiot and always try and line them up in the wrong spots, so I'll be sitting there trying to like push it down the back. So make sure we're lining up our whole... Oh, god damn it. We lost him. You do want to try and get this in as one piece. Just a little bit of tension. Make sure he sits under there. He's good. Come on, little guy. Oh, there we go. Oh. 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 Okay, put our center pin back through, which is non-threaded. Oh, too far. I think that's good enough. All right, now safety and center pin and our slide stop. It's not a lock, whatever the hell you call it. So if we recall correctly, this little guy whoop, sits in the center there. There's a teeny tiny little thing that it will clip into. So curvy side backwards. If you can. Yes. Pointy curvy bit backwards towards the back of the frame. That is what locks our chamber and slide and such in place. Okay, so he's in. Now we can slot this little guy through. Now you have to remember, don't be a Danny and try and push that back through before you pull your log back. Very important. Okay, so now I can push him down. So there is a hole in the center of this guy that your pin goes through. So Beverly lock in end first. Now we're gonna try and get the hole, get the hole, like such. Oh, nice and neat. And now we can tighten this guy back up. So that is a working safety. And it's sort of hard to see in pictures, by the way. That's the safety is metal. It's very orgish. Man, German people are weird. But it is cool. It does work. So our front pin on that one can go in as well. Tweet boy. I have tightened this one a lot, just to hold the frame very snug. Hold the frame snug. Hold the front rail to the frame very snug. See, that's still not in far enough. Okay. A little bit more of a tippy tap. Okay. Perfect. Okay. What now, brown cow? Hammer set. So now our hammer set can go in. We have function. Put our pin in. Ooh. Alright. That is a working assembled blower. He can chill. Now we can put this little guy back together. Yeah, he can chill. Alright, so we're best off doing this in one go. So we want to put our loaded chamber indicator in, back end. We want our nozzle spring, which I haven't even stretched that or swapped it with anything stronger. And this has a very, very, I'll show you how good the nozzle seal is. There's a very solid seal. And the stock spring is strong enough for that. Oh, excuse me. There you go. Okay, nozzle spring. We need the spring for our little sight holder. And again, this will only go in one way, so you can't really fuck it up. Would work if it went in the other way as well, so it actually doesn't necessarily need to be a one-way piece, I guess. And decocking mechanism. So he just sits in there with his little spring. Okay, so that's all our bits. Shell extractor thingo. Just absolutely loves to fall out, so you sort of have to do it on an angle. We got this. I'm totally gonna fuck this up somehow. Come on, lads. Oi. Oh. Almost perfect. Almost. Okay. round two. Round two. We got this. What? Okay, okay. That's alright. It looks like it fucked up. But it didn't. It did sort. It only fucked up a little bit. So it was just our sight holder and spring that came out. Everything else went in. That's okay. So we can screw that in. He's fine. Nice and tight. Okay. Our loader chamber indicator works. We didn't fuck our nozzle up, or nozzle spring. Definitely oily enough. So we can put our sights in. So springy boy. In correctly. And sight. So all you do is just push that down. Ah! Helps having fingernails. And your sight will click into place. If your sight's a bit wobbly, you can take that out and stretch that spring out. But that is an almost assembled hopper. Alright, so that is the We-Tech P99. Alright, peace guys.